We're back and continuing on the bumpy roads and through murky waters, we made our way back to the Gibb River Road, stopping at Drysdale River Homestead for a rare treat. Then we returned to the Gibb River Free Camp, where we enjoyed dinner by the fire for what turned out to be a surprisingly cold evening. The cold of the night gave rise to the steam of the river in the morning, which itself was actually quite warm when we dipped our feet in. But we moved on with the promise of scones at Ellenbrae Station, which I was particularly excited for. Although they weren't quite as good as the ones in the UK, we appreciated a made breakfast and moved on east. However, our side awning had other plans. Turns out it couldn't hack the multiple days of corrugations, so it got upgraded to the inside of the car. With the extra passenger, we progressed through the dust until we finally made it to the sweet nothings of bitumen. Next up was the Pentecost River crossing, which we'd heard much talk of. However, although long, it was not deep, and Pingo managed it valiantly. We camped next to the river, although not too close, with the increasing risk of crocs, of which we spotted at a nice distance across the river, although making its presence more known was a massive wasp, doing its best to capture a massive grasshopper. After this had finished flying around us, we managed to enjoy lunch by the river, followed by a short walk, ending the day with a dinner at sunset. The next morning we made an early start to get to Zebedee Hot Springs before it got too busy. Arriving just before opening time, we were still not fast enough, but we managed to secure a little spot in the natural warm springs, which were very welcome on this cold morning. We tried out a few of the many pools before making our way out and to the next stop, Emma Gorge. We went on the walk through the gorge over all manner of rocks to get to the end, where we were greeted with a cold waterfall on the left and a trickling of the thermal spring above over to the right. After a swim and a walk, we were back in the car, heading to a camp in Wyndham, where we were set up right next to the funnily acclaimed largest baobab tree in captivity, or boab for the Aussies it seems. With rumour of Gouldian finches nearby, we arose for sunrise, on a mission to find them. Unfortunately, we had no luck. However, we did see a sacred kingfisher and a red-backed fairy wren. With our new birder achievement unlocked, we went to the local bakery for a pie before heading to the lookout point to take in the views of the town and its surroundings. We visited the Big Croc before setting up at a free camp, which itself had dramatic surroundings. We took a walk on the dried up wetlands and the sunset, ready for another early morning. Another beautiful sunrise, and we're back on the road. Next stop, Connemara, where we fueled our day with coffee and a breakfast burrito before tackling the mammoth task of cleaning the Gibb River Road off our beloved Pingu, which after 30 minutes of cleaning, we'd say scrubs up nicely. So we made our way to camp on our way to Panalulu. Empowered from tackling the Gibb only a few days prior, we tackled the corrugated roads and river crossings to get to the Bungle Bungles, where we started with the famous Echidna Chasm, which, although we were slightly late for the ideal viewing time surrounding midday, we still got to see the red glow of the towering walls and venture through the thin walkways before making the return walk and then moving on to Palm Gorge, which did indeed have many palm trees within it, growing all over the place. With sunset drawing nearer, we made our way to the Currajong Trail lookout for dinner and a glowing sunset. Heading off early the next morning, we started at Piccaninny Trailhead to make the 5k walk to Whipsnake Gorge, surrounded by the beautiful rock formations, passing some remaining pools of water, which did still have some wildlife within. With more sights to see, we made the return walk via the Window, which was somewhat reminiscent of Nature's Window in Kalbarri, then onto the amphitheatre-like Cathedral Gorge, which was one of my favourite spots of this walk, and then onto the last stop, the Domes, before heading back to the car and out of the national park. The next day we headed back to Connemara and were told of a lovely free camp, which we could use the Ivanhoe crossing to get to. However, it was still too flooded from the wet season to use, and not wanting to get stuck in croc waters, we went the longer way round to make it to our secluded camp. After a lazy morning, Oscar explored the surroundings and found a lake with a beautiful waterfall. Although not risking the swim, he came back to camp, and we made the return journey to Connemara with a few hitchhikers to stock up before heading across the border to the Northern Territory.